Hello, it's Jordan. I thought I'd put a video together for those folks who are looking to do an F23 transmission to GM 3800 engine. So this could be for somebody who wants to do maybe a manual conversion in their Grand Prix or something like that, or more commonly Fieros, or anybody who's really swapping in maybe a transverse front-wheel drive 3800 but wants a manual. Because these engines obviously came in Firebirds and Camaros as rear-wheel drive, but those are facing the other way. Now, the common way or transmission, there's F40s, there's F23s, there's a couple other flavors you can go with. The F23s, those are the ones that I have experience with, and then I've done in the past. So there's how-tos and those sorts of things on YouTube already. This one is for the folks that are looking to drill out the crank and get bigger bolts for the flywheel, because there's been folks who have had the experience of those smaller GM bolts getting sheared off, the ones that are come on the typical Camaro Firebird. So since I'm going through the process right now of mating up a new transmission to a new engine, I thought I'd kind of go through what drilling and tapping the crank looks like, because I couldn't find a video of somebody doing that really in a close way. Like, there's a couple out there, but they just shoot right past it and they don't talk much about it. So for me, I thought maybe it made sense to put something quick together. This is not a how-to, this is not a tutorial, this is not me telling you how to do this. You do this at your own risk. I'm going based off of what other people have done, so I'm not sort of pioneering this in any way. I'm just going based off of what others have said. All right, so over here, this is the old transmission that is broken, and this is the quote-unquote new transmission that I've already put on the hydraulic throw bearing. So for my setup with the Spec 3 clutch, and I have measured quite a while ago, I needed a spacer, so I added the spacer out. I had to hone it out, but I put the spacer on. It's provided by Spec. I mean, it's a little dirty, but a little rusty. And then you need custom mounts, which you can see in the previous video. I drilled this out and tapped it for these bolts here, because those are not threaded holes for this. And then you need the shifter mechanism for the F23 as well. Now, I think from my experience, I don't know how this would go if you were doing like a conversion in Grand Prix or something, or Regal, but there are people out there that will sell the conversion for Fieros, because obviously it's pointed in the other direction than it would be for like a Grand Prix, I mean, in a Sunfire or Cavalier, for example, because the engine's behind you in a Fiero. So, and I've got other videos about the mounts and other things as well on my my channel. So if you're curious about which mounts, there's a video out there for the West Coast Fiero mounts and that sort of thing. So this is the transmission that's going in. This is the engine that it's going to get mated up to. So obviously these come with a flex plate. This had a flex plate on it. I removed the flex plate, and those flex plate bolts can't be used for a flywheel. Now the flywheel, there's a couple resources for them. You can get it yourself. Most people do the Firebird and Camaro flywheels milled down. There's a resource for Fiero guys specifically. His name's Fiero Roger, who will sell these for you, and they come balanced. He's got a process apparently for balancing these, specifically for our engines. So that's what I've sourced here. Now this one is kind of old at this point and has been kind of cleaned up surface, because it was pretty rusty, and I painted the backside as well. So that's that. And then I've got my used Spec 3 clutch, which is hardly got anything on it. It's just, it's slightly used. I just barely drove the car, unfortunately. All right, so now let's talk about what I'm doing and why I'm doing it. So on the crank where the flywheel mates up, there are these holes that would be typically for a flex plate. Now those holes are relatively small in diameter for a thicker flywheel. Now this is got some heft to it. This is pretty heavy. Yeah, they do have aluminum options, but this one is just a stock flywheel. Now the flex plate, I might have one over here still. All right, so here's the flex plate. Now this flex plate's, by comparison, much, much lighter. The GM bolts, there's a couple part numbers flying out there. These ones are, I think, used for like a Camaro fiber. As you can see here, it's got quite a bit more exposure to the crank. The issue though isn't so much the length of it, which would probably be fine. It's the diameter is very small, it's skinny. People do run these and they have success running them. Part of the issue isn't just the fact that they're skinnier, it's they're extremely hard to find. They've been discontinued. So if you do find them, they're expensive. Now the biggest problem with them from that perspective is they're not reusable. These are torque to yield. These have been used, this one's been used. So you can't reuse them. And I think part of the reason people shear them off, honestly, is because they wind up reusing them, because they're not cheap. And just to find them nowadays is harder. So there's a couple different options you can go with. These are camshaft bolts, which people do have some success with. And I was going to go with these, I think I bought these a couple of years ago. I was going to go with these, but the people that have success with these, I don't think, and I may be wrong here, but I don't think have quite any additional power added to their car. A lot of the times they're just running stock setups. I'm not going to be running a stock setup. I've got an upgraded cam. I'm going to be running a smaller pulley. I've got a full-size intercooler. I've got quite a bit of other fixings attached to the engine that I'm going to be making more power than just stock. So I don't really want to go with these this time around. And they're kind of old. I bought them a few years ago, so I don't really feel too bad about not using them. So what I'm going to do is the other option, which people have done, which is drill out the crank. Now, by drilling out the crank, you're allowed to use these bigger fasteners. And that would be this ARP version here. It says it's for a Nissan 2.0, but what people do is they drill it out. Now, if you just compare this one to that stock GM one, we're looking closer to the flex plate size. Same depth, and now my bolt diameter is bigger. So, but in order to do that, you've got to drill the crank. And now that's kind of a, you know, a cringy thing to say and to do. So those bolts, now I've already started, are these ones here. Now I started going based off of, you know, I started with the size, this size here. Now this is, I think, was a 9.1. It's going to be kind of hard to see. You can see a 9, I think, kind of. And I thought what I could do is go straight to this. That was probably a pretty bad assumption on my part. And then I just got these 10.1 tap to tap the holes that I drilled out. So a couple lessons I learned. And now what I'm doing here, I'm not, again, this is not a tutorial. This is not me telling you this is what you should do. This is me basically saying what I'm opting for, which is not the cheapest way to do this. You could obviously remove the crank, bring it to a machine shop, have them do it. And they'll probably, you know, charge a good amount for that. And then you got to reinstall the crank, which means you got to take your rods off, you got to do all that. I didn't want to do that. So part of me is taking the cheaper route, but part of me is also saying, well, let's make sure we get it right the first time around. So instead of just jumping straight to this, which is what I tried, it was not going to work. And then this is just kind of a regular drill bit that you can get, you know, Amazon or somewhere else, which you might find at like a depot, Home Depot or a Lowe's or something. I decided to step my way through it. So gradually work my way up. And I also opted to get maybe a cobalt version of a drill bit meant for hard metal. So these are the drill bits that I'm using and to step my way through it. So I'm starting with, and I apologize for the glare, starting with a 5/16 cobalt. Again, it's for hard metal. And then I'm stepping up to a 2164, and then stepping up to 1132s, and then finally to a millimeter. And this is the size that you'll end on for the tab. Now you can go, I think, a 9.1, but it's pretty close there. So I'm going to go for the tighter fit if I can get away with it. And then instead of the cheesy Amazon tap, which I tried, and the bigger problem with this is it's going to be hard to see. Let's see if I can get it to focus. You can see the threads start pretty far down. So let me back up a little bit and talk a bit about the flywheel. Now, the issue with the flywheel, if you go to drill and tap, is these holes are meant for the skinny stock size bolt. Now, mine have been drilled out. I did bring it to a machine shop and had them drill it out larger because I wanted the surface cleaned up. So he did that, and I said, hey, I gave him one of my new bolts, and I said, hey, can you drill this out so that it's bigger? Because these bolts here, the new ones that I got, wouldn't fit. So he did drill that out for me. You have to make that bigger. So those will fit in there. And now with the 9 millimeter, what I did was I took my bolt and I basically ran it underneath like so, and I marked it for the depth that I would need. Then with that, knowing that's how much I needed to drill into the crank to get full engagement, then I took my drill bits and this is the marker I used. Then I marked my drill bit. You can kind of see it there. Just mark that, the distance I need. Probably not doing a great job, I apologize. But basically, I marked all of the drill bits, the size, the depth that I would need, and then as I was drilling, I just made sure to only go that deep. So here's my 9 millimeter. You can kind of see the mark there. And I'll throw up some videos of me drilling. And now every hole I've got here goes to that depth. Now, the tap, because it's tapered, so we'll go back to that, because it's tapered and gradual, you can't get the full engagement. So because you can't get full engagement with this, this is what I bought. I haven't tried this yet, but it's an N10-1, and this is what's called a bottoming tap. And what this gets me is a thread engagement all the way to the bottom. There you go. So it gets me 3 thread engagement all the way to the bottom of the tap. And see how it's flat? It's not tapered. So the idea here is to take this and go all the way down into the hole. It gets me all the way to the bottom. And that allows me to not have to drill these needlessly deeper than they need to be. I will just have to mark this to go down as far as I need to go. Now, I'm doing this, and I understand that some people aren't going to want to do this. And for me, first of all, I don't even know if it's going to work. We're going to see if it works together. But for me, I opted to buy 4 different drill bits. And then I bought 2 of each because for me, I wanted to make sure these didn't get dull, or if I broke one off, I had a backup right then and there and I didn't have to wait. And then I got this single tap. The problem by doing all of this is between 8 drill bits and this tap, it's $150. Now I get some people are not going to want to spend that kind of money. This tap alone was $75. So it's much, much, much more expensive than this. Now I get that people aren't going to want to do that, and maybe you just drill it a little bit deeper and you use this. I will say this style tap, I got 2 of these and they were very cheap. I got them on Amazon, but I got about halfway down the hole and it was giving me a hard time, to the point where I said, I'm going to buy something for a professional. Like, I'm going to spend the money here, because the nightmare that I didn't want to have was having this break. If this broke off inside one of those holes, I would be screwed. And I just went through and did all the gaskets, did the head gaskets, did everything in that engine, and installed the cam and all that. I would not want to undo all of that work, because I would need to change the crank out because this is broken off inside, and getting this out would just be a nightmare. So I just wanted it to be right. So I spent the extra money on this. So we're gonna see if this works. I've already got one of these, like I said, about halfway started with this. I'm gonna try this in that one hole first. Then I'm gonna put that on and see if how far that threads in, and make sure I'm in good spot. And then we'll kind of go from there. Just kind of showing how I marked this with that paint marker to try to line up with that. So the depth of this drill bit, so you can see the bottom of that bolt hole. It's kind of hard to see with the angle. The bottom of that bolt is the beginning of the paint. So as long as I get to that point, I get the beginning of the paint here, the depth. As I'm drilling into the crank, I go to that paint. That'll tell me that I'm in deep enough. That's the thought, at least. Now, as I go through this, I've got a couple different methods of capturing the shaving. So first of all, you need your cutting fluid. Now I got this rapid tap. There's a lot of people that swear by this stuff. I'm not, I tap things occasionally, but it's really, I don't even have a drill press. So I just put this in, just a touch. You don't need a lot. You can put it on your bit, or you can just put it right in the hole that you're gonna be cutting. And then I put petroleum jelly. I've had this can of petroleum jelly. It was my father's. I've had it forever. And every time I tap something, I wind up just dipping the drill bit right in there. And it just works like grease. It captures all the shavings and goes right into the channels here. This bottoming tap has pretty large channels to filter out the shavings. Now, the other thing I'll do after all of that, I'll spray in some WD-40, get it nice and lubed up inside there after I'm done tapping. And then I'll just hit it with some compressed air and shoot any of the junk out. Then I'll go back and put the bolt in and make sure that it's long enough. So that's that. bottomed out. Okay, I kind of wanted to just show you, it's easier without the light. That literally bottomed out. It's kind of hard to see the paint marker, but I promise you it's there. Maybe if I do add some light, you can see it. I will say, I was struggling with those other taps to get through that. It was taking quite a bit of effort to chew through those holes. This thing went through it like butter. It took like hardly any effort. You could probably see my hands. It looked like it was barely turning it. So kind of crazy. Might be worth every penny. We'll see. I'm going to start a new hole. That hole had already been started with the old tap. I'll start a brand new hole with this and see how it goes. The right tap. Yep. Perfect. Let's go on to the next one. Petroleum jelly. A little. So one of the things I'm a little afraid of with the bottoming tap is going in straight because it's flat. Let me try the other one. So this one's tapered. So I'm hoping by it being tapered, maybe I can go in straight and then get it started. See how it goes in? That'll give the bottoming tap something to follow, at least initially. And that just doesn't do it. That one just doesn't do it. I'm just terrified that I'm not going straight. It cuts so easy. It's actually crazy. Wow. That is insane how easy that cuts. Compared to that other tap, even the ones that I've just done for the transmission, which is, I think the transmission's aluminum. This is just crazy how easy this is. Just keep chasing the threads. Back and forth, go nice and slow, controlled. Getting a little harder here. I wonder if I should back it out. Yeah, I'm gonna back it out and clean it off. I think there might just be a little too much debris on it. One thing, just don't need nearly as much of this as I think I'm putting on there. At the bottom. So I just want to show again how easy this is going. I just barely started this. This hole had no threads whatsoever. And I just started, maybe got like one thread cut. So I just want to show how easy this is going and how, I don't know if it's going to be able to show it, but like the fact that I'm turning and cutting into metal with barely any pressure, I would say for me, having this tap is 100% worth the money compared to what I was doing before. I was muscling it to get it in. Like this just turns, I could do it one hand, I just want to be stable. This just turns so easy. Obviously it's not cheap, so you know, you get what you pay for, but for me, the peace of mind, knowing that I'm not unlikely to break this thing because it's cutting so easily, is worth the extra money. All right, so I'm gonna do the last one here. They've all been going very smoothly. What I have found though is I don't need the other tap to get started. I'm just going full blast with this. So I've already put some of the tap in that hole. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put this in my petroleum jelly, Vaseline, and we're just gonna go in. This has been working out pretty well. I'll probably mute this part of the video just because I got music going on in my garage and I don't want copyright. What I have found after, this is the 8th hole, that by hole 5 or 6, when I get to the very close to the end, I'm having a harder time with it. So it is dulling a little bit, but I've also not gone back and forth. I found not going back and forth seems to keep maybe the rapid tap on there a little longer. I'm not sure. I think the back and forth is kind of funneling the rapid tap back, and it's getting a little harder to do. Like if I do that to clear it. So I've just been kind of going as far as I can go before it gets too hard. And then what I have tried is backing it out to get a lot of the shavings off. All right, it's kind of the moment of truth here. They've all been drilled and tapped. So I'm going to put on the flywheel and hopefully they're all deep enough. Just another quick note here. This is balanced and it only goes on one way. I marked the hole here it was about oblong, so you got two dowels essentially. And then I had the machine guy who drilled these holes bigger marked that one as well. You can kind of see the outline of how it was oblong. So just a note there, want to make sure that you mark it when you do get to the point of drilling these out, because it only goes on one way, and again, it is balanced. So ARP in the box with the bolts says 70 foot-pounds using the lubricant. It gives you the pre-assembly. Well, what I'm gonna do though is I'm gonna just put it on first without anything before I torque anything down, just to make sure that all of the bolts get all the way in so that I can apply that clamping pressure. That one definitely doesn't feel very straight. That one might be off just a hair. That one is in going nice. There we go. You're gonna want to zigzag these. That's not this struggling, that's me feathering the throttle. This one doesn't want to go. That's a concern. That's in nice. This one's a little tight. That one doesn't want to play nice. That one's definitely struggling a bit. I'm going to try throwing the tap in there again. I don't know if it's an alignment issue or a tap. The tap's not quite right. Otherwise, getting full engagement so far. I think. Hard to know for sure. Just kind of showing that this does thread all the way in, and I bottomed out. But there was a couple places where it was catching a little bit, so maybe I just needed to go back and forth. I'm going to try this, and then there's got one of them here. This one here doesn't quite look like it's going all the way down, so this one here I'm also going to try tapping again as well. All right, so there you have it. All the bolts are in. Down, I did chase this thread and I think this one. No, sorry, it's moved on me because as you tighten, it wants to roll. So you have to vice grip. I obviously got to clean this all off, put the assembly lube on, torque it down. But basically, that's the job I kind of wanted to show. The larger bolts are in, threaded. That tap worked great. I highly recommend it. And good luck on your project if this is what you're doing.